Hello, 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 Transurfer and the Transurfing Curious. My name is Renee Garcia, guys, and this is TransurfingTV. And today on TransurfingTV, I was originally going to read the part in the book about pendulums being the gods of dreams, but I've changed my mind. I'm going to read simple solutions to complex problems because I feel as though this is really a pertinent part of navigating reality right now with the complex nature of our current circumstances that are playing outside of us. And I can see that firsthand, people are like complicating the hell out of it. Really, I get messages from people that are borderline absurd at times, and I don't mean to minimize anybody's problem, but like, first of all, please don't message me directly ever with your problems. I don't like those. Please bring them to the Facebook group, because if I respond to something that the chances of someone going through something that others are going through, I would rather respond publicly where others can gain the benefit. And a lot of people message me privately, and it becomes a little bit distracting, especially when the messages are like pages and pages and pages long. And I skim through and I look and I realize that there is, in fact, a simple solution to the complex problem that this person has created. And, you know, this is it. This is the idea that we become captivated by making things so complex, like this maze that we can't find our way out of, and we inflate our importance levels. And Vadim Zeland says in the book, oftentimes a solution is the easiest and closest thing to us. And it is so true. And pendulums love to convince us otherwise, because again, when you are dazed and confused and looking for a solution to a problem that you believe to be complex, and you are having trouble navigating yourself to a simple solution, you're like, you're that little animal that's getting ready to be run down by the lion, right? You are pendulum food. And waking up to the idea that you can extract yourself from your own problems and like back up off it and relax and let the solution come to you. This is beyond measure beneficial in so many ways to you and your reality. It's unreal. Like, I could go off of a list of how many ways this is going to benefit you in creating your own reality, including you don't become pendulum food, including that you're not wasting energy trying to, solve this problem. You're letting the simple solution come to you. Backing away from the problem and looking at the situation objectively, so you're not lost in the matrix and confused and not seeing your line of sight. This is you taking power back and really learning to navigate your reality as a sovereign creator. I mean, it's like doors open and ways in which you can improve your life and your reality become like infinite in nature, and you have the ability to see so much more options and opportunities, and it's an absolute miracle. So I'm going to read a very brief part of the book today, because this is a brief part. Again, it's a simple concept. And once you are awake and aware of the nature of this concept, This is like one of the best navigation tools that I've found personally. So before I get started, remember to like this video, comment below, subscribe to this channel. Our shirts, check them out. The Facebook group, check it out. The course links, check it out. The website, check it out. Check me out on Instagram, reality_transurfing, and all other stuff, links below. So let's get into it. Simple solutions to complex problems. Another practical value of these techniques for defeating or stopping a pendulum is acquiring the ability to solve all kinds of problems, complicated situations in your personal life, conflict, unfavorable circumstances, or simply a set task. There are always simple solutions to complex problems. The key to solving a problem always lies somewhere on the surface. The question is how to spot it. The pendulum that creates the problem obscures your vision, making it harder to find the key. The goal of a destructive pendulum is always to feed on your energy. To do this, it has to attune the vibration of your thought energy to the frequency of the problem and keep it there. This is easy to do if you are convinced that the problem is complex. If you accept the game rules, the pendulum will take you by the hand and lead you into an intricate labyrinth. Only later will you look back in hindsight and see how easily the mystery could have been solved. This reminds me of Einstein's quote where he says that the problem can't be solved in the same mindset that it was created, right? So again, this is about backing away rather than the pendulum, just as Vadim says, leading you into the intricate labyrinth and, you only to realize later that you could have just gotten out so easily. If you play on someone's complexes by scaring, worrying, or confusing them, they will take the bait and readily agree how complicated the problem really is. You do not even have to scare a person to achieve the same effect. Most people will agree that there are no easy solutions to the majority of their problems. We are all constantly confronted with difficulties of some kind over the course of our lives, especially when we face something new or unfamiliar. Approaching problems with anxiety or even a reverential fear is, for most people, a deeply rooted habit. When weighing up their ability to deal with a problem, most people verge on the side of self-doubt. Consequently, all this anxiety is an excellent puppet string. A pendulum can act via its adherents, i.e., people who are connected with a particular problem, as well as non-living objects. The pendulum holds a person's thought energy at a certain frequency, sucking their energy while they carry the burden of the problem. You might think that focusing on the problem would help you to concentrate on finding a solution to it, and yet the opposite happens. It actually hinders you from finding the solution. I love this. This for me is like just absolute gold, because I was one of these people that would just overtly focus on the problem to the extent where I would be lost to myself. The pendulum forces our thinking on a very narrow sector of the information field. As a result, a person thinks and acts within the limits of a narrow corridor, unable to see the bigger picture or perceive the solution which may well lie outside the sector of the information field. Unusual or intuitive solutions often present themselves when you free yourself from the pendulum and are able to think in a different way. The secret of genius lies in remaining free from the influence of pendulums. While the thought energy of most people is held at certain frequencies by pendulums, the thought energy of a genius is free to attune itself to different frequencies and move into unexplored areas of the information field. The way to avoid getting caught in the pendulum snare is to keep whatever problem you are dealing with in perspective and remain aware of the pendulum's intent to trick you into playing its game. rent yourself out, and be detached. Try looking at the situation as if you had no emotional attachment to it. Act as you normally would, but remain observant. Don't play the game. Remember that the pendulum wants to take you by the hand and lead you into a complex labyrinth. Do not let the problem get a hold on you, scare you, worry, or confuse you. Just remember that there is always a straightforward solution to every problem. Do not accept the complicated interpretation projected by the pendulum. If you are confronted with a problem or tricky situation, be aware of your attitude towards it. Even though the problem may stir up feelings of confusion, fear, resentment, despair, and so on, it is important to change your initial attitude to the exact opposite, because then the problem will either disappear by itself or you will quickly find a simple solution to it. Despite the stereotypes and habits you have already adopted, try to regard any problem you encounter as just another part of the road you are walking on, like any other aspect of it, rather than as obstacles that you must overcome. Do not take the problem on board so that it occupies your inner space. Be empty to the problem. If you have to solve a challenging problem, remember that you do not have to rely solely on logical reasoning. Your subconscious is directly linked to the information field where the solution to any potential problem already exists. Relax, release any fear or anxiety you may have been experiencing in connection with the issue. Confident in the knowledge that the solution already exists, let go. Quit the chatter of the mind and contemplate the nature of emptiness. It is very likely that the solution will come to you instantly, and it will probably be very simple. If this does not work, do not give up returning immediately to the rational thinking process. Try the exercise again. You will probably find that it works the second time. This exercise develops the ability to obtain knowledge intuitively. You just have to make it a habit. This method really does work if you are able to stay detached and free yourself from the pendulum. This is not always easy, but later in the book, you will discover new methods for dealing with pendulums. For now, we are just at the beginning of the transurfing technique. Are you feeling as if I have taken you by the hand and am leading you into a labyrinth? Stay free, even of those who preach to you of freedom. Oh my God, don't you just love it? I absolutely love it. Okay. So this is really, this hits close to home for me. And I'll tell you guys an example of how I've used this practically. And it's a little embarrassing because I'm going to relate to you part of my personality that, I don't know, maybe some of you could imagine I'm like. I definitely have the propensity to like panic and make things overly complicated and overthink and worry. I'm a classic overthinker. So this thing that I used to do is exactly what he's talking about, like allowing the pendulum to lead me by the hand into a complex labyrinth and completely distort reality as I was experiencing it, causing me to go into an induced transition, causing me to get lost, to suffer energetically, to suffer emotionally, to the extent that it would oftentimes take me days to come up out of this. And it was over something so silly. So my primary business, the jewelry business, I deal in fine jewelry, and I oftentimes have to take the jewelry that I buy from my bank so I can photograph it and return it to the bank. And in these moments when I have the jewelry and I have to photograph it and sell it and ship it off, there is a lot of anxiety about what I do with the jewelry while it's out of the bank vault. And there are times, and I don't do this anymore because I finally learned. I mean, I actually learned how to stop myself from doing this. But what would happen is I would take a break from my photography or listing the stuff online or whatever I was doing with the jewelry, and I would tuck it away someplace safe to return to it a few hours later or the next day. And sometimes I would forget where I put it. I would absolutely just draw a blank, and I would start searching frantically, opening filing cabinets. I used to have my office in the same room that I had my closet. So a lot of times I would put it into a shirt pocket, in a little pouch, or do something else with it that at the time I thought was clever, or, oh, this is such a great little hiding spot that surely I won't forget. Well, sure enough, this was happening regularly. And what would transpire when I could not find what it was I was looking for is I would go into a total state of panic. And I would get mad. I would start cussing. Sometimes I would get so frustrated I would feel like I could cry. I would say to myself, never again. This keeps happening to me. This keeps happening to me. Why do I keep experiencing this? And this happened for literally years. Even just talking about it right now, like I feel slightly embarrassed for myself that I couldn't come up with a system. Like I just let this keep playing out like this. So I read this part of the book and I thought to myself, there's a really simple solution to this. There is a really, really simple solution. And I created the solution. And I never encountered any of that ever again. And it was so easy for me to do this once I could step out of that labyrinth, pull myself away, look at what was transpiring, look at what it did to my mindset, what it did to my energy levels, what it did to my mood, all of the different ways that this behavior would affect me negatively, extract myself, and allow a very, very simple solution to come to me, which it did. And I adhere to that solution to this day. And I never have to experience that ever again if I don't want to, that feeling of helplessness that I've lost something valuable. So I know that this seems so simple because it is, but again, we get lost to this simplicity in a way that is so detrimental to our realities and our mindsets, and we don't even realize how easy it is to extract ourselves from this mode of operation. So another example that I'll give you, and this was kind of a little bit of a shocking one for me, and it again hit close to home because of my own personal experience. But this girl messaged me not that long ago, and she said, I've got a real problem. My boyfriend is super abusive towards me, and he's violent, and he abuses me mentally and emotionally and all this stuff. And my family's really concerned, and they want me to move back home, and I don't know what to do. And I was just like, oh my God, it's so obvious. You leave the piece of shit boyfriend and you move back with your family who's concerned, right? But again, oftentimes when we're in the mix, we can't see that. We can't see how easy it is to get out. So again, as Vadim Zeland states in the book, oftentimes the answer, the solution, is the simplest and easiest thing closest to us. So what I'm going to leave you with is this. What would you consider to be your number one problem right now, right? Your number one problem. And what would be the most obvious way to solve this problem? What's the simplest solution that you can think of? Is it, and I'm not trying to lead anybody here into any certain direction, and these are purely just for the sake of educational benefit here, but is it leaving a romantic partner? Is it moving? Is it quitting a job? Is it something else that's super, super obvious? Now, again, don't just jump off and do something because I'm saying so, but you know what I'm getting at here. It might be a lot easier than what you're assuming it might be. You might be thinking that there's some big, huge thing that has to play out and you're going to have to solve this problem, but the solution is already there. The solution is already there. So the last thing that I will leave you with is this. Again, a lot of times people message me. Now, the girl that messaged me and she was in an abusive relationship, that's a real problem, right? Now, her solution was simple, but that was a real problem. That was something that was physically happening in her layer of reality that was not good. A lot of times people message me with questions about problems that they're experiencing, and the problem solely exists in their mind. There's some kind of conflict at work. There's some kind of thing that's happening that's not really playing out in physical reality, but it's just some mental construct inside the person's mind. So the next time that you are encountering some sort of problem, ask yourself, is this a real problem or is it a perceived problem, right? A hurricane blowing the roof of your house off and your house filling with water. This is a real problem. A lot of the problems that we hold as human beings are problems of the mind. And again, the way out of that labyrinth is even more simple than the actual problem. It's a matter of shifting your perspective. So this is it. Simple solutions to complex problems and our final lesson in pendulums. I hope you will walk away from this feeling like you have a little more control in your reality after these lessons. And most of all, the next time you're feeling hooked or triggered or emotionally exploited, that you wake yourself up. I see myself. I see my reality. I have a choice now if I take the bait or not. And if I get led by the pendulum into that labyrinth and I lose my ability to create my own reality and I choose something else, right? Creating my own reality. So I hope that everyone understands that this is available to each and every one of us. You take yourself up on this option, and the next time you find yourself in a sticky position with a pendulum, I see myself, I see my reality, step away and remove yourself and remain the creator of your reality. I hope you enjoyed this lesson, everybody, and any ideas for the next one, please message, comment below. I'm definitely open to suggestions, and I will see you all next time. Bye, guys.